Hola, welcome. Hello. Oh my God. I have said hi to the camera like 10 times because every way of me saying hello sounds super awkward to me. So hello. I'll get better at this with every video, I promise. So I had on my mind that the next video that I wanted to upload would be a practice video. And today, the opportunity presented itself perfectly because I noticed some material arising for me today. It was kind of cute because I actually did write this on my phone as a note. I wrote, "Ooh, I'm being a little butthole to myself. I need to make an offering." That's literally what it says right there in my notes. And and to me, one of the most precious and meaningful offerings that we can give is to be of service. And one of the ways that I feel most fulfilled being of service is in sharing practice. And it's interesting because actually lately, one of the ways that I also feel most fulfilled being of service to others is in trying to nourish myself and self regulate my nervous system as much as is available to me. Because I'm really learning experientially that the more regulated I am and flexible in my nervous system, and the more I'm able to hold ventral space for other people, the more that my relationships and connections are thriving, and the more that I can actually be in service to others. So that's kind of where that little note that I wrote was like, I'm being a butthole to myself. And when I'm being a butthole to myself, I'm not actually in much service to anyone, and including myself. Like I felt the tension in my body, just that like contraction. And then I felt some ease and peace when I made the decision, oh, I'm going to go home. I'm going to practice and I'm going to invite anybody who wants to join me in practice to practice along with me. So that in a way, we get to co regulate together. This practice is going to be a little bit more low key. If you are familiar with any of the practices or classes that I teach, we're actually not going to do the 7 Kankwebs today, but we are going to practice Kankweb through connecting to the 4 bodies: the physical body, emotional body, mental body, and energetic slash spiritual body, really beginning to create some inner spaciousness for us to be with the contents and material of those 4 bodies in a way that feels resourceful to us. So I think we can just go ahead and get started. Just some quick things I would like to say are to really take it very slow and easy with yourself throughout the practice. Try to make this practice and allow for this practice to be as effortless as possible. That way, it can be nourishing and resourcing. I would like to encourage you, if it feels accessible, to close your eyes so you can really take the time to go into your inner world. But if having your eyes closed does not feel safe, you are completely free to keep your eyes open, to soften your gaze, to look around the room, to take in your surroundings. So, we're going to begin our practice lying down on our backs. So, you can either lie down with your legs extended or whatever position is the most comfortable for you. I'm going to keep my knees bent. So, you're invited to do this as well if that sounds good. But I'm going to bring my feet about hips distance apart and knock my knees together to allow my sacrum to melt towards the ground. Maybe bringing your chin a little bit towards your sternum, palms face up. Just notice or begin to notice, what does your body need to feel more comfortable? This is a good time to pause the video if maybe you want to go put on some socks, or you want to change the temperature on your AC unit. Do you need to adjust your body's position in any way? Just taking these initial moments to notice and observe your body shape, comfort level. And if it feels safe, maybe start to notice your breath. If the sound of your breath feels like a good access point before accessing sensation, go ahead and start to notice the sound of your breath. Notice the rhythm and the pace of the sound of your breath, the texture of the sound. How does it feel to observe the sound of your own breath? Maybe you start to notice an organic shift to the sensory experience of your breath. There's absolutely no pressure to change the rhythm of your breath or even to make it deeper. You might notice that that happens on its own as you stay with the breath. But if for some reason the breath quickened with your attention, just notice it. Just observe what happens when you keep or intend to keep the focus of your attention on your breathing. As you breathe, do you notice how deep into your body your breath is traveling? A good way to get a sense of this is to observe what parts of your trunk are moving as you are breathing. Do you notice your chest moving? What about your upper belly or your lower belly? Just notice the rise and fall of your breath through your trunk. And it's perfectly okay if you don't feel these parts moving. We're just beginning the practice. This is all just for your awareness, just to become aware of where your breath is right now and what your experience of breathing is like right now. I noticed that I placed a hand on my chest. Maybe you find it resourceful to bring one hand to your chest and one hand on top of your belly. And without pushing or forcing it, maybe just getting curious or playful about how you can bring the breath into the body in a way that these hands that are in contact with your body move just ever so gently like a wave. And your wave may feel like the hand on your chest moving first, and then the hand on the belly. Or it might be the opposite. Maybe it feels more resourceful for you to feel the hand of the belly rising up first and then the hand of the chest. And then just notice what order they move in when you exhale. What's the order of the movement of your chest and your belly like? What do you notice is happening for you in the most natural, effortless way? I really want to invite us to try to keep this practice as effortless as possible, as effortless as coming into the body can be today. Let us rest from effort right now. And as you breathe and continue to feel the dance of the rise and fall of your chest and belly as you inhale and exhale, I want to invite you, if it's possible, for you to have a little bit of dual awareness. So you continue to focus or keep a part of your attention on that rise and fall of the chest and belly, but maybe start to bring another part of your attention into a scan of your whole body. And allow this scan to be very generalized. So maybe you begin at your feet or your hands or your head or your tail. You choose where you begin. You could even begin in your center, exactly where you are breathing. So maybe just select a way that you would like to start to scan your body for sensation. Again, there's no right or wrong way. And just check in very generally with how your body is feeling right now. What are you arriving with in your practice? Are there any areas that feel like they're carrying some tension? Are there any areas that feel restful or pleasurable, even? Or maybe you don't even have to label it. I just want to invite you to scan the body for what's there, for whatever makes itself known to you. And it's okay if there's not a ton of information coming up. That's worthy of being noticed too, because sometimes a lack of information is information. And just know that there's no pressure to change the way that you feel in your body right now. We're not trying to relieve the tension in this moment. We're not trying to let it go. Just let what's there be there. Give it permission to be there and witness it. Now, I'm going to invite you to release your hands by your sides. If you have your knees bent, go ahead and extend them. And let's take a full body stretch. Reach your arms over your head. Point your toes and reach your fingertips away from your toes. So you're stretching and reaching your fingertips and your toes away from one another. And now notice how the sensations in your body have shifted. What do you notice now? Do you notice a stretch or a pulling along the front of your body? Has your lumbar spine and sacrum risen away from the ground so that your spine is slightly arched? Maybe not. I'm just naming some possibilities. Can you feel your shoulder blades pressing into the ground now in this stretch? Scan for what is happening, what is shifting in your body. What do you notice in the muscles of your thighs, the muscles of the feet? What about the muscles of the face? How about you take a full facial stretch, maybe yawning or parting the lips and stretching your lips open? Allowing your face to come alive, maybe smile, stick your tongue out. And then bring your arms back down by your sides. You can either keep your legs extended or flex your knees. And now I just want to invite you to scan your emotional body. So this is a little bit more subtle. What do you notice in your emotional body? By emotional body, I mean the contents of your emotional self, your emotional world. What would it be like to notice what emotional content is presenting itself to you? And how do you know it's presenting itself to you? How do emotions make themselves known to you? And how are they making themselves known to you in this moment? And just know that there's also no pressure to identify anything right now. Simply having that intention right now to hold space for your own emotion is offering an invitation for your emotional body to come online during the practice or afterward. At least that's how I notice things tend to show up for me during my practices. Now, however you have your legs, I want to invite you to start to bend your knees and hug your knees into the chest. As if you're trying to press your thighs into your belly. And go ahead and make little circles with your ankles, bringing the joint spaces of your ankles into circular motion, or maybe you point and flex the toes, and that sequences up into the joints of your ankles. Breathe into the joints of the ankles and the knees, bringing your breath also into the joints of the hips. And if it feels good for you, maybe rock from side to side to massage the lower back. And if some of that movement starts to sequence up from the area of your tailbone and sacrum, up the lumbar spine, up the thoracic spine, into the cervical spine. So you may start to turn your head from side to side from the space of the cervical spine. Invitation to do that so that you're starting to find just a very soft, organic, intuitive rocking sensation on the ground. And of course, that sensation manifests as movement, just very gentle, slow movement. Maybe you start to breathe into the joints of the shoulders, joints of the elbows. So as you're rocking, you feel your elbows just softly flexing along with the weight of your thighs and knees. And also breathe into your wrists. And as you gently rock from side to side, bringing some life and energy into the spine, as you bring some life and energy into the joints. In this practice, we call the physical space of the joints the ushkanel. So as you breathe and move the ushkanel gently, bringing your body into just this gentle little rock from side to side, I want to invite you to scan your mental body. So here we're going to attune to our mental body, to our thoughts. So just become aware of the contents of the mental body. Now, this won't be true for everyone, but it might be that you notice that your mind has quieted slightly since the very beginning of the practice. I know that for me, that's true. I felt a little, well, emotionally, in my emotional body at the beginning of the practice, I felt a little anxious and nervous about guiding practice. And my mind was a little more active. It's quieted down a little bit. I feel like my mind is more rooted in my body. But it may be that this practice thus far has made you a little bit more active in the mind. And that's okay too. I invite you to observe that with gentleness. Be oh so gentle with yourself. Again, hold space for whatever presents itself. I'm here holding space for you and with you. Even though you are doing a recording and this is a recorded practice, I'm setting the intention right now to give you space for you to be with whatever is blossoming and arising in your mental body as you rock from side to side. So, rock through that mental content. And if your rock starts to move a little bit differently, if it changes its texture, start to allow that. It may be that as you're present with the contents of your mental body, that you start to make more of like a circular rock by letting your knees make circles. Or maybe you move through a circular motion through your shoulders. Or maybe your spine starts to get a little bit wiggly. What starts to shift in your physical body as you're just present, holding space, making space for your mental body, for your mental contents to make themselves present? Now, release the bind or hold of the legs so you can release your arms from your legs to just allow your legs to move freely. So maybe you start to alternate extending the legs as you keep that rock. And just let yourself move freely on the earth, rocking from side to side. Maybe you allow yourself to actually fully roll onto the side body, alternating side body to side body, alternating extending legs. So this does not have to look like anything. This is a little bit of free form, gentle, slow movement on the ground. Just letting your legs move intuitively from side to side. Maybe you caress the ground a little bit with your hands. Just start to allow your sense of touch to come online. So, really allowing yourself to find that grounding resource of the earth that's supporting you in your freeform movement. It's just like a little earth dance, your own earth dance. Breathing into your ankles, knees, hips, spine, neck, shoulders, elbows, wrists. Can you allow your free form movement to be generated from these 13 ushkanel, 13 joint spaces? In the practice, we see the spine as an extension of the joint space of the neck. That's the 13th ushkanel. So move from these 13 ushkanel, inviting yourself to move from these 13 spaces on the ground in a way that feels as enjoyable, soft, and effortless as possible. The movement of your body is hopefully so effortless that you can start to allow your conscious mind and focus to shift to the subtlest body of the four bodies that we are moving through today, the spiritual or energetic body. As you're moving through your joint spaces, as you're moving here on the ground, can you start to connect to your energy body? Can you start to attune to senses that, while they may be felt in the physical body, perhaps they feel more subtle than physical? And this is actually a great moment, rather than me telling you about your own energetic body. This is a wonderful time for you to start to explore what maybe that means for you. So, kind of embracing a little bit of that curiosity about perhaps what is unknown. Or maybe there are some themes beyond subtle sensation. For instance, maybe there are some themes in your own energetic or spiritual practice, some themes or lessons that you notice have been arising in your life that you want to bring into the space. This is also part of the energy body. Let yourself invite that in. What are you working through right now in your spiritual life, in your practices of transformation or transmutation? Now, I'm noticing in myself as I roll more and more onto each side that the front of my body wants to come closer to the ground. So I'm going to invite us to slowly start to roll over onto the belly so that we come to lie down with our front body in contact with the ground. I'm going to stack my palms to make a little pillow for my forehead. But if you want to have your arms down by your sides with the backs of your hands on the ground, or if you want to cactus your arms, that's available as well. And simply allow yourself to rest here for a few moments. Perhaps sensing into the four bodies, observing your relationship with them in this moment. So, whenever you find yourself ready, I want to invite you to slowly start to slide your hands underneath or somewhere near your shoulders. Press your knees into the ground and start to press yourself up to come onto all fours. From here, I want to invite you to tuck your toes under, bring your gaze forward, start to lift your knees, and simply walk your feet towards your hands, coming into cascada, waterfall pose. Reaching the energy of your sits bones and tailbone towards the ceiling and allowing your spine to fall forward like a waterfall, letting your crown be heavy, allowing the vertebrae of the spine to pour forward as your crown of the head melts towards the earth. Ground your feet into the earth and slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time, allowing your arms to simply hang by your sides as you roll up. And then roll the shoulders back. Head is the last to rise. And just pause for a moment and observe. What does it feel like to be standing? What does it feel like to be in your physical body right now? What does it feel like to experience yourself? Now I invite you to start to release the standing posture, whatever standing posture you were in. There was no specific one that you needed to embody. But start to release that and simply walk around your space, feeling your toes, the connection of your toes to your ankles. If while you're walking, you want to make little circles with the ankles, invitation to do so. Sequence that awareness up into your knees. Maybe you exaggerate the flexion of the knees as you're walking. So maybe when you start to move one leg, you bend the knee up towards your chest, if that's available, if you want to do that. Maybe as you step forward, you take a little squat. Whatever brings awareness into your knees. Now, if it hasn't already happened naturally, start to sequence that into your hips so that you start to flex and open the hips. Maybe moving the hips side to side or in circles as you do this interesting little walk. So awareness in toes, ankles, knees, and hips. So that this walk starts to become a dance where you're exploring making shapes with toes, ankles, knees, hips. As you walk through your space, as you explore your space, breathing. Maybe if it's available and feels accessible while you're playing with your movement, maybe you also scan and experience the information coming through your four bodies. It's possible right now that your physical body is the loudest because you're moving it, but what's your emotional and mental body saying? What's your energetic body saying? Maybe there's an element of silliness. Maybe the mind is questioning, what the heck am I doing? Be with what is there, trying to be really present with these four bodies and their contents. Now, what if I invite you to start to bring your shoulders into your walk dance? Shoulders start to move in circles, or maybe you elevate them up and down. So now you're walking through your space with toes, ankles, knees, hips, shoulders. What if we invite the elbows into the walk so that the elbows start to walk through the space, start to explore the space? It's likely that now your walk is feeling even more like a dance. Start to bring your wrists into the walk and the exploration. Wrists move in circles. You might already notice that the energy, and by energy, I mean, in this case, sensation of moving the wrists sequences into the sensation of your fingers so that as you move your wrists, your fingers are also exploring space through this walk. So fingers, wrists, elbows, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, and toes are really alive, active, and aware through this walk dance. And probably, maybe, your walk no longer looks like a walk, but it's really looking like a free form, dance-like exploration. And lastly, I want to invite you to start to invite your neck into your dance, into your walk. If it's still a walk, perfectly okay. But I want to invite you to start to sequence from the neck space down the spine. So from cervical spine to thoracic spine, lumbar spine, sacrum tail, all of the spine in movement as you move from the 13, Ushkanel, fully immersed in coordinating this dance as organically and effortlessly as possible. And when you start to connect to a level of trust and comfort in your movement, simply letting it be born from whatever movement impulses are arising in the toes, ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, neck, spine. Allow yourself to be moved more and more by the intelligence of these ushkanel, of these joint spaces. Observing the experience of this movement experiment. Exploring ways to make this movement as effortless, organic, and resourceful as possible. As you observe the material that arises in your four bodies. When you find yourself ready, start to make your movement smaller and slower. Smaller and slower. As you're still moving, although the movement might be smaller, although it might be slower, Start to listen again to the sound of your own breath, just like we did at the beginning of the practice. It's possible you might also be hearing my breath. So let's listen to our breaths together as we move slowly, more subtly, until we reach a stopping point with our movement, to where we can pause in a standing position and give ourselves the space to feel the energy that's circulating and spiraling through the four bodies. What do you notice? Can you allow the thinking mind to yield to this experience and information that's arising in the four bodies? And observe how you feel. Beautiful. Now we're going to close our practice here, standing. So if you have your eyes closed, invitation to open them. Maybe look around your space. Notice what's around you in your physical space. Maybe make contact with your physical body. Really arriving back into the here and the now. And if you'd like to take some more time to meditate or to journal, to reflect on the experience that you just had, I encourage that. If you feel inspired to continue your own practice after this in your own way, invitation to do that. I'm so grateful that you took the time to practice with me and to trust me, to guide you in practice. Very likely in a future video, I will guide us through the 7 gang webs and some other practices. And I'm just really excited to see what's going to come through for us through this channel, because I don't know, and I kind of love that. All right. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.